Oh, man, it feels good to be back. Welcome to the Bellefleur Tire Shop Grand Falls Rapids pregame show. Tyler Raines here, joining you once again after a little bit of a break. The Grand Falls Rapids got on a little bit of a roadblock since the last time we chatted, but they made up a couple of games, including a dominant 6-1 ass-kicking against the Fredericton Red Wings on Thursday night. Sorry for the profanity, but that's exactly what it was. This Rapids team has a chance to make up another 2 points here today against the Pictou County Weeks Crushers. And we're going to dive into a little bit of the stats as well as a couple of changes that took place. We're going to recap all of that and more here on the Bellefleur Tire Shop Grand Falls Rapids pregame show. But first, I want to talk about the importance of this game and why it is so important. So the reason being, first, as you know, South Division teams, when it comes to the Grand Falls Rapids, they only play the Rapids twice a year, once at home and once on the road. Now, points-wise, this is going to be an all-crucial matchup because the Rapids, like I mentioned, they only play twice a year. You know what the other teams in your division are capable of. You've seen what Campbellton can do. You've seen what Miramichi can do, and so on and so forth. But you don't really know what to expect when it comes to Pictou County. Because this is a team who has the worst goals against in the league by 1 goal. Their goal differential reads this, 101 to 121. This is a team that's let in a lot of goals, and they are struggling right now. 3-6-1 in their last 10, 9-13-3 on the season. So to take advantage of a team like Pictou, who is 5th place in the East Link South Division, to get a couple of points to propel yourself a little bit further in the standings up to the Miramichi Timberwolves, that would be huge in your push for the playoffs. Now, we talked a little bit the last post game that it's going into December. As of today, it is December 1st, and we are going to talk a little bit about the changes there as well. But it's December 1st. This is the time where you're going to want to go on a win streak before the Christmas break, because, as we were mentioning the last time, when you get back on January 3rd, which is going to be the first Rapids game of the year, there aren't going to be many home games or regular season games left for that matter. And right now, the Rapids, as we speak, are 10 points out of the playoffs. And this is something that I'm sure if you are a fan or somebody who is just a follower of the team, you're going to want to watch them win this game and dominate like they did in Fredericton. Because this is an opportunity for them to not only get a couple points to get back into their playoff run, but shrink that 10-point lead. So the Rapids, they lost a couple games in a row, and the Miramichi Timberwolves obviously won a couple of games in a row, hence why that gap is so large now. But for the Rapids, this is going to be one of the most important games of the month. This is one of, I believe, 3 home games coming up this month. They're on the road for the majority of it. And then it's that 2-week Christmas break. We're going to dive into the tail of the tape as well here. So I mentioned the Pictou County Weeks Crushers are 9-13-3 on the season. They are 2-0 in their last 2 games, coming off of obviously a big win the other night as well. 3-6-1 in their last 10 games, which brings to the Grand Falls Rapids, who on the other hand are 6-12-0-4 on the season. Those 4 losses coming in the shootout, of course. And they are coming off that huge win in Fredericton, 6-1. 4-0-3 in their last 10. Now, I want to talk about this a little bit because in their last 10 games, they've got 9 points. They could have made up 20 points in that span, obviously, when they played, but they got almost half, which means that their point streak is still intact. So this is another opportunity for them to expand on that and keep it going. Special teams are going to be a huge factor in this game as well. So you have the Pictou County Weeks Crushers, who are third place overall power play percentage-wise, as well as third in the East Link South Division, 27.3%. But on the other hand, their penalty kill has been one of the weakest, if not the weakest, in the league right now, with 69.2% on the PK. This is going to be a huge step for the Grand Falls Rapids, and we'll talk about that in just a second. Now, I want to dive into the Rapids stats. So going off of that, their power play, or their penalty kill for Pictou County is 69.2%, like I mentioned. Worst in the league, worst in the division. The Rapids, on the other hand, third place overall power play percentage. They are sitting sixth place in the league currently, and third place in the East Link North Division. Now, you have a power play that's strong, decently strong against a very incredibly weak penalty kill. And on the other hand, for Pictou, you have a very strong power play against a very, very strong penalty kill. The Grand Falls Rapids sitting at 78.4% on the penalty kill as well. So we saw over the last few games, the penalty kill has really been effective for the Rapids. I like the fact that they're getting those guys out there, especially Ethan Kane has been fantastic. I think one of our best defenders, easily, hands down. Will Morrison's been out there killing a lot of penalties as well. Overall, it's not just the defense, it's a lot of our forwards that are really helping out with that as well. The good thing about the Rapids penalty kill is that you can interchange guys and it won't hurt you that much. Because you look at the amount of times over the past 3 games where they've allowed power play goals, it's not many. It is not many at all. Now, with those stats out of the way, I want to jump into the skater stats a little bit. And this is going to be interesting for whether you're a fan of the Weeks Crushers or the Rapids. So we're going to go into the goals. A leader for the Grand Falls Rapids, newly minted captain Jonah Laird. We're going to talk about that as well in just a couple minutes here. And Jeremy Dastu leading the way in assists, as well as points with 34 total points and 25 assists. On the other hand, for the Pictou County Weeks Crushers, you have Lucas Canning leading the team in goals, assists, and total points with 19 goals, 20 assists, and 39 points. Now, one thing that I would like to talk about is that top line that the Rapids have. Obviously, with Jonah Laird, Jeremy Dastu, and Patrick Baxter, who have really been effective over the last few games. Jonah Laird, 7 points in his last 3 games. And for Jeremy Dastu, on the other hand, 11 points in his last 3 games, including that 6-point game against the Amherst Ramblers when they were on the road on November 23rd. Now, this is a huge one for him as well. Even dating back to that, he's got 13 points in his last 4 games. This line is really starting to heat up and really starting to click. That's something that you love to see. And the reason why I think it's working so well is because they're building that chemistry and it's really starting to shine through. And I like the fact that Dastu has kind of registered himself as the playmaker, right, on that line. Jonah Laird is the big goal scorer. Jeremy Dastu is the playmaker. And then you have Patrick Baxter, who's the power forward on that line. It's a perfectly balanced line. And that's something that I think you're going to start to see with all of the Rapids lines, not just the top line. Because we often compare this to, the Oilers are a one-line team, or the Maple Leafs, they're a one-line team in the NHL. But this is more than just a one-line team. But that top line, especially over the last 3 or 4 games, has been producing like wildfire. That is, I think, with the help of so many incredible names on this roster that have really stepped up and started to influence the younger guys, or even if you're a vet, have really started to step up and voice that these games are important. With that said, I want to talk about, like I just mentioned, the vets stepping up in the locker room. And one thing that you may have noticed is now the Rapids have officially named a captain, and who better than Jonah Laird? A guy who has really stepped up and has really voiced on the bench, is a very good leader and has shown that. He's not the type of guy who talks a lot off the ice. He more lets his lead by example approach come into play. Just an overall I think a great pick for leader. He's a guy who is very community driven, is always ready to just die for his teammates, so to speak. And I think was overall just a great choice for the C. Obviously, our leadership group staying the exact same, but Jonah Laird getting the C. Congratulations, Jonah, on getting the honor of being the Grand Falls Rapids captain. And looking forward to seeing what you can lead this team to for the rest of the season. Now, with Laird being named the captain, this opens up an opportunity as well for, and basically for the leaders to all come together and say, hey, look, we may be on a bit of a skid right now, but there are a couple of games where they can really make a difference. And the next 3 games, they are on the road. They have a game on Thursday night in Summerside. So that's the last time that we play the Summerside Western Capitals this season. They have a game in West Kent on Friday night. And then on Sunday afternoon, they have a game in Campbellton before returning home on December 11th, which is going to be one of 3 home games one of the second of 3 home games in December for the Grand Falls Rapids. After that, anything could happen, but this is an opportunity, and I think where historically the stats have shown this season that they play better on the road. Now, I'm not quite sure why that is, but it's something that I've noticed a little bit, is their stats, especially their power play and their goals for, have been better on the road than they have been at home, but their save percentage and their penalty kill percentage have been better at home than it is on the road. Just a little bit of an interesting tidbit that I found there. However, this is a great opportunity, right, for the Rapids to really zero in on Miramichi. If all goes right, by the time Christmas rolls around, the Rapids will hopefully be 2 to 3 points out of the playoffs. They come back and they have a huge win streak going on. We're going to talk a little bit about the matchups as well going into the month of December. So it is the Grand Falls Rapids and the Summerside Western Capitals. The last time that the Rapids faced off against the Capitals, they ended up beating them in a huge game where they scored 7 goals to take them down. Obviously, they're looking for revenge on December 6th against the West Kent Steamers. That was the game where they were beaten 4-3 with that heartbreaking regulation loss. And then they will return to Campbellton to face off against the Tigers, another team that they're catching in the playoff race as well, who's only 2 points ahead of the Miramichi Timberwolves with 28 points, before returning home to face off against the Campbellton Tigers on Wednesday, December 11th. So it's going to be a Wednesday night game, 7:15. Get your tickets if you haven't already done that, because this is a game, obviously, where Campbellton is coming to play, where Grand Falls is coming to play, and it's going to be a fierce, ferocious, ugly rivalry game that both teams badly want to win. These games coming up for the Rapids are, let's call it like it is, they're must-win games. And at this point in the season, I think every game would be a must-win game for them. Because you look at the amount of games that they have in December, in the month of December, and I'll pull that up here for you. They've got a total of 9 games throughout the course of December, and 3 of them are at home. The other 3 are on the road. So we'll run through the games here. So obviously today against Pictou, and the 3 games that we talked about, then they are back home on Friday, December 13th, or back at Edmundston on December 13th at the Jean Daig Center. Then they're in Miramichi on Sunday, December 15th to face off against the Miramichi Timberwolves. And then they go back to Campbellton once more on December 18th before returning home on December 20th to face off against the Amherst Ramblers. And that's going to be the last game before the holiday break. Grand Falls and Amherst. That's going to be an interesting matchup. Now, I want to talk a little bit about what this could mean for the Grand Falls Rapids. If they get off to a start like they did against Somerset the last time that these two teams played, if they win, let's say that they win that game, or they end up going gangbusters into the J.K. Irving Center where they face off against the West Kent Steamers, this is going to start to spark something huge. And I think over the last, especially the last 3 games, what we've seen from this group is going to be something incredible. We've seen that they're starting to heat up. Now it's just a matter of how do they do it, and how many points are they going to be able to get over the next few games to propel themselves back into the playoffs. So there won't be an alumni spotlight for this episode, but there will be one coming up on the next pregame show, which is going to be Wednesday, December 11th. So look forward to that one as well. And I'm going to pose a new question of the game to you as well for this week. And it's going to be something a little bit different. Since we're on the theme of the holidays, what is your favorite hockey memory from around the holiday season? Could be playing on the outdoor rink, could be getting your very first hockey stick, could be so many things. But what was your favorite holiday hockey memory in that time span? And obviously we're going to be involved in a lot of the festivities going around the town and around the rink. There's so much to be excited for, and such a joyous season of giving, and such a joyous season to get some wins here in December before Christmas. The Grand Falls Rapids face off against the Pictou County Weeks Crushers today. We will see you in the postgame for a lot more content and some exclusive game talk about everything that happened during this game, plus a look ahead into the next games as well. For the Bellefleur Tire Shop Grand Falls Rapids pregame show, this has been Tyler Rains, and we'll see you very soon.